This is the Real Madrid squad for the 2026-27 season. We have already made 5 signings. With all the players that we have already had at the club, this team has to perform and we have to compete next season. It is literally win or go home. It's nothing else. And of course, this is also including Diomande and Rodri, which Diomande is like 99% done, and Rodri is heavily rumored to join Real Madrid as well. First of all, we're going to look at the signings that Real Madrid have made, and then I'm going to talk about every single player and the expectations that we should be having with this squad, because this squad is good enough to win everything, and we should be looking to win at least 2 trophies next season. Let's look at individually at the signings that we have made so far for this up-and-coming season. And why don't we start, I think, with the most surprising player so far, which has been Cucurella, especially for his World Cup performances and, for the not so huge of a hype that he got when he actually joined Real Madrid from Chelsea. There have been many talks about, Cucurella leaving even to Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, but Real Madrid got him, and I couldn't be happier. At the time of the signing, I was already happy. I thought, to myself, sure, he's a decent fullback. I think he's an upgrade on Carreras. But after seeing that World Cup and seeing his best version of himself that can play for Real Madrid as well, I'm honestly over the moon. I think this is a 10 out of 10 signing, honestly. The money is clear to nothing. In this day and age, it was around 50 to 60 million. I think this is a sensational signing. Then we have the depth signing in Dumfries, 20 million. You can't really go wrong with a 20 million signing. And the same goes for the signings of Bernardo Silva, Konate, which Dumfries, Bernardo Silva, and Konate, I think Konate will have the biggest role out of them all, because I think Konate will start the most games. In Dumfries' case, I think there's going to be some rotation with Trent, but he's mostly going to be a depth player, and he's going to be a, that's player that's specially used for some games where he is needed and that physical stature is needed. The same goes for Bernardo Silva, I think. Free transfer. What else do you have to lose? Honestly, the wage isn't that crazy. And he's going to be mostly coming off the bench or helping us in some games. Whereas, maybe a little bit of problem in tight spaces, a low block where he will thrive. Then Konate, once again, free transfer. The only thing you have to pay is bonuses and wages. You can't really go wrong. Is Konate the best defender in the world? I don't think so. But is he a good deal for no money, for 0 transfer money? I think so. Then we have, of course, the biggest signing. And it can be the biggest signing and in Real Madrid history, because the deal can reach up to 120 to 130 million after, the whole package. I think the fixed value will be 100 million euros for Diomande. I think this is a sensational signing. He offers something, completely different to Vinicius. He's more physical. I think he's a little bit more direct in that sense of he can be direct in both of his feet. He can finish with his left. And he is not the, main type of guy that gets all of the balls to his feet, that will play every single ball to the left side to Vinicius. That's not going to happen now. Vinny will still mostly get the ball. He likes to get the ball to his feet and then attack the fullback. I think the advantage on Diomande's side is that he can just get the ball behind the defense. He can run inside, outside. He can do an overlap and run, underlap and run. And he is way more inclined to help the defense defensively, because, from what I have seen from him, his physicality is one of his best traits, honestly. His pace, his directness. I think this is an absolutely elite signing for Real Madrid. And the last signing, of course, which has not happened yet, which is probably going to get done in the next few days or weeks, is Rodri to Real Madrid. There is some, of course, issues with Real Madrid now being in talks with Manchester City about the final offer, but the personal agreement with Rodri is officially done. It should be around a 3 to 4 year contract, which I think is fair enough, because Rodri wanted a higher contract, because the wage structure right now in the club just doesn't, make us offer him too much money. I think that's why he's wanting the deal to be a lot more longer than it should have been, because when I first thought of Rodri being at Real Madrid, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, but it's probably going to be a 4-year deal, because the money will not be, huge at all for Rodri's stature. And I think Rodri can be a great addition, especially for 50, 60 million. If the deal reaches 70 million, we could be looking at it from a different point of view financially. But as a player, And, with the depth that we have already with this squad, I think it's, once again, a sensational signing. I think the least exciting signings are going to be Dumfries and Bernardo Silva, which Bernardo Silva, I think, is just... He's genuinely just going to be a rotational player. He's the player that's going to be in depth. And once again, we can use him in some very, very specific situations. But I don't think he will be playing a crucial role. But you know what? We have nothing to lose. What if Bernardo Silva has a crazy season? We can all be surprised, and if he does, honestly, I'd like to be wrong. On the other side, Dumfries, I think, once again, he will be rotation with Trent. I don't know why they included Asensio as a right-back option. Yes, he can play there, but Asensio, if he stays at the club, which is highly unlikely, which the same goes for Mastantuono, who has been included as a 10. He can play on the right wing as well. We all know that. But Asensio will be mainly the centre-back, if we are being completely honest. Now, of course, if the Rodri signing doesn't happen, I'm going to be a little bit more skeptical about the midfield. But if we are being completely honest, we have enough players at the club, even without Rodri, to start winning. Like, I don't know what people are talking about. That yes, we still don't have balance. Sure, in the midfield. What about our attack and the defense now? We have an elite defense. And you could be telling me, yeah, but Rudiger, Huijsen, Konate, Militao, is that really elite? It just is. It's better than 99% of the clubs. If Konate even has a 10% better season than he did last season, he's going to be an elite center-back. And guys, the personal stuff that has happened to Konate, I'm not going to mention too much stuff, but it's been a crazy season. The past season for him, the past 12 months for him has been just absolutely crazy. If I was him as a player and as a person, I wouldn't be able to hack it, and especially in the Premier League, under so much pressure. People always need to realize that La Liga is way less physical. And, the player of Konate's stature will have a field day in La Liga. The same goes for Dumfries. Even if Dumfries is not that defensive, as people like to mention always, but when I watch him and he actually plays as a right back, not a right mid or, an attacking wing back, he's elite. His physicality just puts him over the line in most defensive actions because he can just shove the player off the ball. He can shield the ball pretty well. He's not bad on the ball. And if he needs to receive the ball from the keeper, defender, even the center mids, he's okay. That's all we need. In modern football, you need versatile fullbacks, and the same goes for Cucurella, which Carreras is, I think, off the bench, he is the perfect option for Real Madrid. Because once again, when it comes to starting every single game, I think he's a little bit just mid, he's just a 6, 7 out of 10 player, and sometimes he just drops to that 5, 4 out of 10, which you can notice it, especially defensively, and sometimes in bigger games where he's just not there, I think, confidence-wise yet, but Cucurella has played the biggest games in world football. I don't think the confidence is a question mark in Cucurella's case. And on the other hand, Ferland Mendy, for me, that's a completely finished case at Real Madrid. I don't want to see Ferland Mendy on the pitch ever again. But Cucurella and Carreras and Trent and Dumfries are elite options when it comes to being on the bench, which I think is going to be Dumfries and Carreras, and then Cucurella and Trent, which are, for me, going to be the starters. Then Rudiger, Huijsen, Militao, and Konate, as I already said. I think Militao is going to be, once again, just slowly brought back into the team because we rushed him. Xabi Alonso absolutely rushed him. We tried to rush him to the lineup as quick as possible, and it just wasn't time. It just wasn't the time. He should have been kept on the bench at least until December, in my opinion. And once again, he got injured. I'm expecting him to come back and be used as a bench option. That's what he needs to be in the first season until his fitness actually is there. If we don't see him coming off the bench for at least 5, 6 months, that kind of period of time where he can actually start to get the match fitness and his muscles can get used to it and he slowly can get back into the team. Don't expect Militao to be back because those injuries are there. We can't hide from it, and they are always going to be there. But if Militao gets a chance off the bench every single game or every other game, I'm going to be all for it. Then Rudiger, Huijsen, I think this position is probably the weakest in the team because Huijsen still, in my opinion, is a little bit too young. Am I expecting him to improve defensively under Jose Mourinho? Of course, because what is Mourinho, excelling at, especially in his best teams, is the defense. It's the defensive side of things, making defenders better, making the fullbacks better, especially defensively. And that's why I'm, expecting Huijsen to do great things because the technical side of Huijsen games is already there. he's elite on the ball, he's elite at passing, and that he already has those things. Now we just get, the confidence up, the physical side of him up, and he needs more confidence in his partner, which Konate, I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing that he's going to be better than his last season at Liverpool. As I mentioned, his personal stuff was just crazy. Honestly, look into it if you haven't already. I don't want to, mention it too much, but I think, rating Konate just off of his last season and his recent performances is just not fair. Until I see him in the Madrid shirt, if he's going to be shit, he's going to be shit. Honestly, guys, I'm going to admit it, and I'm not going to be, sugarcoating anything. I think I've been quite fair on the new signings as well last season. I even cooked Trent, I cooked Huijsen, I cooked Carreras, and I definitely cooked Franco Mastantuono, which brings me to my next point, which is the guys that I will never be cooking at this club, and those are the goalkeepers. Lunin, elite option off the bench. Yes, he had probably a bad game against Bayern in the Champions League, but let's be honest, guys, like, you're Lunin, you get 5 games per year, and the 1 game you get, or the 2 games that you get, are against Manchester City and Bayern Munich. Let's be honest, guys, let's give him some leeway. He's still an elite option off the bench. And Thibaut Courtois, I have nothing else to say. He is the best goalkeeper in the world. Hopefully he comes back, fully fit, because he had a quite bad injury in the World Cup. Now, let's move on to the midfield. Valverde, Tchouaméni, Thiago Pittar, Rodri, Bernardo, Camavinga, which are going to be the more deep-lying playmakers, the deep-lying players, the box-to-box players, the double pivot. It can be just the center midfielder or the defensive midfielder. Then we will look into the 10s and the attacking midfielders. Now, before we do that, I want to share with you my opinion on which players I actually see starting in this team, which are probably going to be Trent, Konate, Huijsen, as you can see here. Trent, Konate, Huijsen, Cucurella, Courtois, Rodri, Valverde, Bellingham, Diomande, Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe. I think most people are expecting this to happen. Maybe we see Arda Güler in the 8 some games. Maybe we see Tchouaméni and Rodri in the double pivot. Maybe we see, Dumfries starting some games. Maybe we even see Rudiger starting some games. But I think this will be and is the strongest lineup that we can put up so far if Mourinho has Rodri under his disposal and Yan Diomande is basically already at the club. Now, I think this is an elite, starting 11. But when we look at the depth in the midfield, that's where I think we are truly there finally. Last 2 seasons, our biggest problems where, of course, the team morale, the relationship between the players and the manager not really being on the same page. But it was, of course, a huge part of that was as well the depth that we had, especially in the defense, which we have bought 3 defenders already, and we are also looking at, a possibility of Bastoni still joining the club. And then in the midfield, which we have brought Bernardo Silva, and we will probably bring Rodri and then Diomande in the wing option, where we literally didn't have a right winger, because when Rodrigo played, he didn't even want to play right wing. Brahim Diaz is never consistent. Arda Güler is not a right wing. Franco Mastantuono plays football like me, Isco Disco. And then nobody's there. Rodrigo has had an ACL 6 months into the season. And then we finally buy Yan Diomande. And for the midfield, as I already said, elite depth. Where, if the injuries happen, you can finally put somebody there even off the bench and still trust them, and you still have players that are going to be sitting on the bench like Camavinga, like Thiago Pittar, who can come off and be, at least up to par in La Liga. Maybe in the UCL they are not enough, which we have seen, clearly for Thiago Pittar and Camavinga in the last season, especially in the games versus Bayern and Manchester City. But they are good enough to start in La Liga. They are good enough to be bench players in La Liga as well. And I think Bernardo Silva can hold his own against any other team in La Liga, maybe apart from Barcelona and maybe some games against Atletico. But the starting option of Rodri, Valverde, and maybe Tchouaméni is elite. That is literally like, I don't see a better midfield in the world than Rodri, Valverde, and Jude Bellingham. I don't see it, guys. There is a runner in Valverde, complete machine, engine, can do everything, box to box, defend, attack. Bellingham, an elite. I would genuinely call him a shadow striker. If you play FIFA, he's like a false 9 who's playing in the 10, who can also do his defensive work. He can receive the ball. He's great on the ball, especially physically. And then If you need him to run in the midfield, he can do that too. And Rodri, why are we bring him into the team? We need more balance. We need more calmness on the ball. We need somebody that is good with the passing, with their passing range, who can, give those line-breaking passes, who can put those wingers through, and who's elite at receiving the ball as well. He's elite under pressure. And if Rodri stays fit, I keep saying this because that's my only worry about Rodri. I have always said, Rodri is a good player, but he might be washed because of the injuries. Because what's the best ability in football? Availability. Which Rodri... Let's be honest, guys, he still missed like 100 days in the last season with injury for Manchester City. But when he's available, he's going to be elite. The double pivot, I don't think there's genuinely a better option that we could have signed for the money that we will use on Rodri if he joins Real Madrid than Rodri. Rodri and Tchouaméni or Valverde, for me, is elite. Honestly, guys, I don't think we have to make any other changes to the midfield. And then Bellingham and Arda Güler in the 10. Honestly, that might be the best number 10 duo in the world. Like, let me know who has a better number 10 duo. Like, I don't want to hear Cole Palmer, Morgan Rogers, or some stuff like Leonard Carl, Musiala, Fermin Lopez, Dani Olmo. I don't want to hear it, guys. Jude Bellingham is the best midfielder in the world. He might be one of the best players in the world. And Arda Güler is the most elite talent that Real Madrid has, apart from, the starting lineup. Because, like... Arda Güler couldn't even make it into my starting 11. That's how good this team is in depth. And everybody telling me that you have to sign Bastoni in order for us to have a perfect window. Yeah, but life isn't perfect, guys. The same goes for football. Would I like to have Olise and Diomande and then flip in by, I don't know, Rodri and Vitinha? Sure, guys. That's just not gonna happen. Would I like to have Nuno Mendes? Sure, guys. Hakimi? Yeah, but that's just not gonna happen. That's just not going to happen. Saliba, Gabriel are not going to join Real Madrid like this. It's just not going to happen. With the stuff that we could have done this window, I think we have absolutely cooked. In the number 10 position, I have absolutely there is literally no worry in the number 10 position. With the pivots, my only worry is that Rodri can get injured. Honestly, guys. That's my only worry. Then for the wings... I think that's where the worrying starts, especially on Vinicius' side and on Diomande's side too, because of course, Diomande, for me, great signing, but he is 19 years old. We have to manage our expectations. He's not going to score fucking 30 goals and have 30 assists in his first season, so we have to manage our expectations there. Brahim Diaz as a backup, I'm not going to lie, I don't really like it. On the other side, Rodrigo as a backup, which he isn't even going to be playing football until like January, so that's not really a backup, let's be honest, guys. I think the backup for Vinicius is Diomande if he doesn't start a game. That's where the backup comes in. But Diomande is going to be starting most games as a right winger. Then Vinicius Jr., he's either going to be elite or garbage. So I don't know. The same goes for Mbappe with Vinicius as well. They're either going to be absolutely elite or they're going to be garbage. Will we be getting the World Cup versions of these two players, or will we be getting the trophyless Mbappe and Vinicius? I don't know, honestly. But one thing I have to say, on paper, once again, this team should win every single trophy that they are competing for. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But for me, I'm expecting at least trophies, and one of them has to be La Liga. If La Liga is not won by this team, we have to win UCL. If we don't win the UCL, we have to win La Liga. Guys, it's honestly over for these players if we don't win a major trophy. And a major trophy is not Copa del Rey or not fucking Super Copa de España. I'm not listening to this team. I'm not listening to anybody if we win even both. Even if we win Copa del Rey and Super Copa de España, we still failed next season. I'm telling you guys. Because you know why? Because we're not going to win the Copa del Rey, bro. It's not going to happen. Even if we had Messi and Ronaldo at Real Madrid, we're not going to win the Copa del Rey. It's just not going to happen, bro. We don't win Copa del Rey ever. So let's focus on La Liga and the UCL. And maybe we will put in some Super Copa de España in the coming years. Maybe, because the cup competition in Spain, honestly, I have just given up on Copa del Rey ever. Because the treble, I don't know, it's just out of reach, honestly, guys. Our luck in the Copa del Rey might be the worst luck of all time. We couldn't even beat Albacete last season. Let's not forget. Now, with the wingers, starting options, Vinicius and Diomande, I have already said, I don't think we could have bought anybody else, different for the right wing option other than Diomande when Olise is, of course, not available. I think Olise, as I have previously said, everybody was telling me, like, I told you, Isco, I told you, is Olise will never join Real Madrid. But my point still stands. Olise wanted to join Real Madrid. That's what I always been saying. Why wouldn't you go to Real Madrid? The only part is that Bayern just doesn't want to let him go. Fair enough. We got Diomande. If Diomande doesn't work out, I'm telling you, Olise will probably end up at Real Madrid in the next 3 to 4 years. But that doesn't matter. We have Diomande, the boy from Ivory Coast, and he's an elite option. Go watch his games. Honestly, guys, elite with both feet. As I said before, Vinicius Jr. and Kylian Mbappe, I mean, they are probably one of the 2 best players in the world alongside like Lamine Yamal, Dembele, and these guys. But once again, will we get the World Cup versions of these players where they track back, where they fight for the team, where they are actually beating their players, when they are doing what they are supposed to be doing, making rounds, Vinicius beating their player, Mbappe scoring goals, scoring every single action? Well, we just have to wait and see. Once again, the backups for Mbappe are going to be Endrick and Gonzalo Garcia if Gonzalo Garcia doesn't go to Fulham, which is still a possibility. And Endrick can also be a right wing option. If Diomande, for example, gets injured or Diomande doesn't start, we can see Endrick starting as the right winger. We can even see Endrick starting as the striker or getting minutes off the bench as a striker or a right winger, which I really, really like. I just hope we give enough minutes to Endrick off the bench, because Diomande will take his minutes as the right winger. We already know that. But Endrick has to get minutes. That's what I'm hoping for with this team. And the same goes for Arda Güler. We can't be seeing Bellingham 90 minutes for every single game. We can't be seeing Mbappe every single 90 minutes game. The same goes for Vinicius. The same goes for Diomande. The players get burned out. We can clearly see that with Mbappe last season, where in the last 3 months, we saw him like 5 times in 15 games. And the same goes for Vinicius, where this brother used to never get injured, and I think he got injured. He got injured last season. I don't think he missed any games, but he still got injured. That's how this team worked in the past 2 seasons. We played like Tchouaméni as a center back. We played Lucas Vazquez as the right back. We played Camavinga as the left back. That's what we were doing in the past 2 to 3 seasons. And that's just not going to happen this season, and that's what I'm banking on. The expectations should be much higher than last season, of course, and the team has to win now. If we don't win, it's not on anybody else other than the players and the manager. And if the manager gets every single thing right and the players still cannot perform and they still can't win with this squad, even with this starting lineup, honestly, guys, I don't know what to tell you other than that this generation of players is cooked mentally. It just might not be for Real Madrid. Because with this lineup, you cannot tell me that Real Madrid shouldn't be competing for every single trophy. Soon, I'm going to do my whole prediction video for, La Liga, Copa del Rey, Supercopa de España, Champions League, and the other leagues as well. Make sure to stay tuned into the channel. If you like the squad review, I think I reviewed every single player, or I at least gave some thoughts on every single position at the club. And, let me know your opinion on this squad depth. Let me know if you think we are going to still sign Bastoni. Is the Rodri deal going to go through? Let me know anything you want to let me know down below in the comments. I tried to read every single one of your comments. I even reply to most of them as well, because I really, really appreciate your support on the videos and you showing love in the comments or even hating. I appreciate the hate. It pushes the video, honestly, guys. Thank you, Barca fans. I love you guys as well. Now, thank you so much for watching the video. As I said, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. And Real Madrid, you better win next season. Peace out.